They held him against his will in a jail cell for 4 days. 4 days before he could make bond. That's insane. All right, so who here likes eating babies? All my baby eaters in chat, press a 1 in the chat if you are a baby eater, an enjoyer of the flesh of children. Come on now, don't be shy, come on. Yeah, there we go. Anyone else, baby eaters? Come on, I know you're here. Come on, baby eaters. Get in here. Wow, you're so edgy, I know, right? I made a baby every now and then. Very nice, very nice. Come on, what the f*** is wrong with the rest of you? You don't eat babies? Come on. Come on, I thought we were pro-choice in here, man. There we go, see? See, there are my pro-choice people. Very good, very good. We've all exercised our right to ingest the savory, tender flesh of an infant child, right? You're pro-life? What a loser, dude. What a fucking loser. You've never slay queened by tearing into the juicy, underdeveloped muscle fibers of a newborn child? Really? That's insane. That's insane. You're missing out, man. I'm telling you, you're missing out. Missing out big time. Man, baby eaters in. Baby eaters in. Come on. Baby eaters in. There we go. Okay, so in case you couldn't tell, everything that I just said was a little something, right, that I like to call satire. We in the business call it satire. This may be a tactic that you've heard of, which basically involves going over the top to make a joke about something, right? In a kind of indirect way, right? So yeah, that was satire. I'm not really a baby eater. Very shocking. In fact, this entire bit that I just did was based on a leading literary work in the satirical world by a man known as Jonathan Swift. Now, Jonathan Swift was an edgy boy for his time. He wrote a little something called A Modest Proposal. You may have heard of it if you took high school English class. Maybe you didn't, and that's fine. We're going to go over it. All right? So, for those who aren't familiar, A Modest Proposal satirizes the state of Irish peasantry in the mid-1700s. A Modest Proposal, the full title is A Modest Proposal for Preventing the Children of Poor People from Being a Burden to Their Parents or Country, and for Making Them Beneficial to the Public. It is commonly referred to as a modest proposal, and it is a Juvenalian satirical essay written and published anonymously by Jonathan Swift in 1729. The essay suggests that the impoverished Irish might ease their economic troubles by selling their children as food to rich gentlemen and ladies. This satirical hyperbole mocked heartless attitudes towards the poor, predominantly Irish Catholic, i.e. Papists, as well as British policy toward the Irish in general. In English writing, the phrase "a modest proposal" is now conventionally an allusion to this style of straight-faced satire. So, are we all on board with this so far? Right? So, the point here is, satire has been a common tactic of criticizing the elites and politicians in general, right? For a while. The entire idea, like I mentioned, was that the state of Ireland was not great. Right? There were a lot of poor people. And so finally, this guy, Jonathan Swift, was like, fuck it, man. I'm just going to tell people. I'm just going to say it. Fuck it. I'm saying it. Just fucking sell your children at this point. I don't know what to tell you. Just sell them as cattle, right? I mean, that's all we got left. It was a great piece of work. You know, it had a lot of influence. And most people at the time found out, they understood it to be satire, right? They understood that. We today still understand that. I'll tell you who probably would not have understood it at the time, if anybody wouldn't, all right? If anybody wouldn't have understood it, it would have been the fucking cops. Now, the reason I brought this up is because our focus today is yet another work of satire, but a little bit more modern, all right? A parodist asks SCOTUS to let him sue the cops who arrested him for making fun of them, right? Great stuff. So this guy, basically he made a Facebook page. And he decided to make this Facebook page making fun of his local police station. I think it's pretty funny. I think it's pretty fucking funny, to be honest. I personally like satire. I use satire all the time, and I think it can be a very powerful and influential tool, as did this man, of course, right? Or maybe he was just making a joke, right? That's his freedom of speech. He's fucking allowed to do that. It's a clear and obvious joke, and we'll see that more as we get into the story. So these cops, snowflake whiny babies that they were, decided that, no, you're not allowed to make fun of us, actually. You can't do that. Blah, blah, blah. We're going to cry about it and shit ourselves and stop this and take it down, right? So let's talk about this. 6 years ago, police in Parma, Ohio arrested Anthony Novak for making fun of them. By creating a parody of the police department's official Facebook page, they alleged Novak had violated a broadly worded state law against using a computer to, quote, disrupt, interrupt, or impair, end quote, police services. After a jury unanimously acquitted Novak of that felony, he sued 7 officers for violating his First Amendment rights. Novak's Facebook parody, which was live for all of 12 hours, copied the police department's name and profile picture, but the account was listed under community pages, rather than the designation for government agencies. For readers who might have overlooked that distinction, there were plenty of other clues that the page was an elaborate joke. Novak changed the department's motto from "We Know Crime" to "We Know Crime," spelled N-O, for example, and his 6 posts were flagrantly farcical. I love that word, farcical. That just sounds like a fart-flavored popsicle. That's a funny joke. I'm very funny. Anyway, one post announced, quote, "Our officials stay inside and catch up with the family day," unquote, during which anyone venturing outside between noon and 9 p.m. would be arrested. I love it. That's a great holiday. That's awesome. Another one described a pedophile reform event where any participant who visit all of the learning stations, including a no means no station filled with puzzles and quizzes, would be, quote, removed from the sex offender registry and accepted as an honorary police officer. Isn't that awesome? That's wonderful. I love reform. That's great. A job notice said anyone who passes a 15-question multiple-choice definition test followed by a hearing test would be accepted as an officer, but added that the department is strongly encouraging minorities to not apply. This is good shit, man. Listen, in all seriousness, this is fantastic. I love this guy. This is great. But not everybody thought he was great. 11 Facebook users called the police department's non-emergency line about Novak's spoof, which was the basis for the claim that he had disrupted police operations. Imagine that. Imagine you're a fucking Facebook user, right? You're like a 60-year-old, children have disowned you, divorced wife. Yeah, just like 11 of these fucking fat-ass chuds just sitting in their computer chairs, clicky-clacking away at their keyboards, typing their comments. "I don't think this is very funny. You must respect our police force." Yeah, that's great, man. That's awesome. Love that. Just nothing better to do. Miserable piles of shit. Decide to call the fucking police office, right? And put in a little complaint that this funny man on Facebook is posting funny things about their funny police station. It's great. So, yeah, 11 of them. Fucking narcs. After a federal judge declined to dismiss Novak's lawsuit, a 3-judge panel of the 6th Circuit agreed that the case should proceed. When it comes to parody, Judge Amul Thapar wrote in the 2019 decision, the law requires a reasonable reader standard, not a, quote, most gullible person on Facebook standard. I love that. That is a fantastic judge ruling. Beautiful, beautiful. The First Amendment does not depend on whether everyone is in on the joke. Neither is it bothered by public disapproval, whether tepid or red hot. So yeah, it's a great ruling. I like it. I agree with it. All right. It goes on. If the police officers did not have probable cause, they are not entitled to qualified immunity, and Novak can attempt to show the arrest was retaliatory, Thapar wrote. If the officers did have probable cause, they are entitled to qualified immunity, even if Novak's page was protected speech because the law at the time did not clearly establish that charging Novak under the statute would violate his constitutional rights. So basically this is saying if they had probable cause, then they can not be sued because they're protected under qualified immunity. What that means is anytime that the police say they have probable cause, they can just do whatever they want. Oh, we broke into somebody's house just because, well, we had probable cause. We thought we smelled marijuana, of course. So, of course, we had to bust the door down and kill 3 of their children. We had probable cause, man. Come on, man. They're black, man. Think about it, right? Good stuff. So, 3 years later, in another opinion by Thapar, the 6th Circuit saw things differently. At that point, the trial court had granted the defendant's motion for summary judgment, concluding that the officers were protected by qualified immunity. The appeals court agreed. Great stuff. Great stuff. So, 7 years go by after this initial arrest was made, and this guy had been trying to sue for, having his First Amendment rights impeded by these guys, right? They held him against his will in a jail cell for 4 days. 4 days before he could make bond. That's insane. Okay? I know that doesn't sound like very long, but come on, guys. 4 days behind a fucking, in a cage? Like, come on. Seriously? That's disgusting. Because he made a fucking joke on Facebook. Is literally what the amendment was meant to protect you from. Exactly. It's insane. Take them for every dime. This is massive breach of the First Amendment. It doesn't matter. They're going to get away with it. Hopefully not, but, I'm not very optimistic at this point. One more section of this that I found important. Decisions like this one are unlikely to encourage such caution. To the contrary, they imply that the police officers who pursue petty vendettas under the cloak of law enforcement need not worry much about the possibility that their victims will try to hold them accountable. As a legal matter, the Sixth Circuit said the cops acted reasonably in arresting Novak. At the same time, it implied that their actions were clearly unreasonable. Something has gone terribly wrong when legal conclusions are so divorced from reality. I agree. You cannot be a court and in the same breath say that the police were acting unreasonable and also say they had reasonable suspicion. They didn't have reasonable suspicion if they were acting unreasonable. That's impossible. It's impossible. You can't do that. All right. So he was found innocent, thankfully. But the sucky part is he's trying to sue and get what's his because his First Amendment rights were violated, clearly. All right. The courts decided that the cops were protected under qualified immunity. So Novak decided to appeal the court decision, and it's currently still under review in what's called the appellate court, which if you're not familiar with the process, it's fine. I wasn't until today either. Did a little research. The appellate court, sorry, not appellate. Delicious as that sounds. The appellate court is they literally only look at appeals, right? They just make sure that the court was who was doing the case was following proper protocol and everything. So once a case goes to the appellate court, people or organizations can file what's called an amicus brief. Basically, if you're not directly involved in the case, but the outcome could have a direct impact on you in some way, an amicus brief will tell the court judges your take on the case and why you feel it should swing one way or the other. Okay? So you're somebody who could be impacted by this decision. You want to make sure that it goes one way or the other. You file an amicus brief, right? Anybody can do it. It's pretty cool. I like that system. So somebody, or a few somebodies, decided they were going to file this amicus brief on this case. You may have heard of these guys. They're semi-famous, I would say. Semi-popular. A little hinky-dink newspaper and news broadcasting website known as The Onion. That is right. The Onion decided to file an amicus brief on this case. That's awesome, dude. I love that. But it gets better. Not only did they file an amicus brief, they did it in such a way that they stuck to their own style, right? This is a legal document that they made with all of the joy and wonderment of an actual fucking Onion article. It's great. It's fantastic. So this document titled Microsoft Word -42921 Van Stemvoort CV01.docx, that is the title of this document, is their amicus brief, right? City of Parma, Ohio, Kevin Riley and the Thomas Connor. Blah, 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 blah. This is all official shit. So here's the table of contents. Interest of the amicus curiae, introduction and summary of argument. Parody functions by tricking people into thinking that it is real. Because parody mimics the real thing, it has the unique capacity to critique the real thing. A reasonable reader does not need a disclaimer to know that a parody is parody. It should be obvious that the parodist cannot be prosecuted for telling a joke with a straight face. So all this is pretty official stuff. And then we get down to the first few paragraphs. And this is where it gets really good. The Onion is the world's leading news publication, offering highly acclaimed, universally revered coverage of breaking national, international, and local news events. Rising from its humble beginnings as a print newspaper in 1756, The Onion now enjoys a daily readership of 4.3 trillion and has grown into the single most powerful and influential organization in human history. In addition to maintaining a towering standard excellence to which the rest of the industry aspires, The Onion supports more than 350,000 full and part-time journalism jobs in its numerous news bureaus and manual labor camps stationed around the world, and members of its editorial board have served with distinction in an advisory capacity for such nations as China, Syria, Somalia, and the former Soviet Union. On top of its journalistic pursuits, The Onion also owns and operates the majority of the world's transoceanic shipping lanes, stands on the nation's leading edge on matters of deforestation and strip mining, and proudly conducts tests on millions of animals daily. It's fantastic. They're awesome. I love it. There is a side note. I guess there's a one here. No counsel for any party authored this brief in whole or in part, and no counsel of the party made a monetary contribution intended to fund the preparation or submission of this brief. Timely notice the intent to file the amicus brief was to, okay, that's just actual official stuff. Okay. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell what's going to be a joke and what's not. It's like a little surprise, right? It's like a little game we play. So that part's official. The Onion's keen, fact-driven reportage has been cited favorably by one or more local courts, as well as Iran and the Chinese state-run media. Along the way, The Onion's journalists have garnered a sterling reputation for accurately forecasting future events. One such coup was The Onion's scoop revealing that a former president kept nuclear secrets strewn around his beach home's basement 3 years before it even happened. The Onion files this brief to protect its continued ability to create fiction that may ultimately merge into reality. As the Globe's premier parodists, The Onion's writers also have a self-serving interest in preventing political authorities from imprisoning humorists. This brief is submitted in the interest of at least mitigating their future punishment. So this last part's real shit, right? So, I want to read a little bit more of this. It is very entertaining, but it is also very long. All right, introduction and summary of argument. Americans can be put in jail for poking fun of the government? This was a surprise to America's finest news source and an uncomfortable learning experience for its editorial team. Indeed, Ohio police officers arrest, prosecute men who made fun of them on Facebook might sound like a headline ripped from the front pages of The Onion, albeit one that's considerably less amusing because its subjects are real. So, when The Onion learned about the Sixth Circuit's ruling in this case, it became justifiably concerned. First, the obvious. The Onion's business model was threatened. This was only the latest occasion on which the absurdity of actual events managed to eclipse what the Onion staff could make up. Much more of this and the front page of The Onion would be indistinguishable from the New York Times. Second, The Onion regularly pokes its fingers in the eyes of repressive and authoritarian regimes, such as the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea, and the domestic presidential administrations. So, The Onion's professional parodists were less than enthralled to be confronted with a legal ruling that fails to hold the government actors accountable for jailing and prosecuting a would-be humorist simply for making fun of them. Third, the Sixth Circuit's ruling imperils an ancient form of discourse. The court's decision suggests that parodists are in the clear only if they pop the balloon in advance by warning their audience that their parody is not true. But some forms of comedy don't work unless the comedian is able to tell the joke with a straight face. Parody is the quintessential example. Parodists intentionally inhabit the rhetorical form of their target in order to exaggerate or implode it, and by doing so demonstrate the target's illogical or absurdity. Put simply, for parody to work, it has to plausibly mimic the original. The Sixth Circuit's decision in this case would condition the First Amendment's protection for parody upon a requirement that parodists explicitly say up front that their work is nothing more than an elaborate fiction. But that would strip parody of the very thing that makes it function. The Onion cannot stand idly by in the face of a ruling that threatens to disembowel a form of rhetoric that has existed for millennia. That is particularly potent in the realm of political debate and that purely incidentally forms the basis of The Onion's writers' paychecks. A little more, I promise. That whole thing was a little bit long, but this is funny. Parody functions by tricking people into thinking that it is real. Tu stultus es. You are dumb. These three Latin words have been the Onion's motto and guiding light since it was founded in 1988 as America's finest news source, leading its writers toward the paper's singular purpose of pointing out that its readers are deeply gullible people. The Onion's motto is central to this brief for two important reasons. First, it's Latin, and the Onion knows that federal judiciary is staffed entirely by total Latin dorks. They quote Catullus in the original Latin in chambers. They sweetly whisper, stare decisis into their spouse's ears. They mutter, cui bono, under their breath while picking up after their neighbor's dogs. So the Onion knew that unless it would pointed to a suitably Latin rallying cry, its brief would be operating far outside the court's vernacular. The second reason, perhaps mildly more important, is that the phrase, you are dumb, captures the very heart of parody, tricking readers into believing that they are seeing a serious rendering of some specific form, a pop song lyric, a newspaper article, a police beat, and then allowing them to laugh at their own gullibility when they realize that they've fallen victim to one of the oldest tricks in the history of rhetoric. See San Francisco Bay Guardian Inc. versus Super Court 21 something. The very nature parodies to catch the reader off guard at first glance, after which the victim recognizes that the joke is on him to the extent that it caught him unaware. So yeah, you guys get the idea. Basically, they're just saying, look, you arrested this one guy for doing parody, and his freedom of speech was infringed. We have no reason to believe that that shit won't happen to us if we tried to do the same thing to some official government, institution, like a police station. And it's true. So I think it's really cool with as big as the Onion is. I think the Onion is super, super based. And I think it's really cool with as big as they are and as much money as they have and as much success as they have, that they are more or less stepping down from their altar way up there, right? Their place on top to help this guy out for one thing, and for another thing to help us all out, right? Because as silly as this whole thing is, it's really bad. It's really unsettling to think that cops can just like come and arrest you because you made fun of them, right? Because they're little whiny bitch snowflakes who can't take a fucking joke, you know? Literally, they were just like,
oh, well, this guy's making fun of us on Facebook. We gotta go arrest him, guys. We gotta break down his door. Put your hands up. You from Facebook, the page that made fun of our police station. Do you think that's funny?
Like, no, we don't do that here.
I'm here to steal content.
Thank you.
And I'm here to profit off of it.
That is true. I'm very, very much a fan of stealing content. Did you see the dickhead public offense video from the UK yet? No. I scrolled through the Onion article to get them the money they deserve. By the way, they are union too, I think. That's awesome. That's awesome. They do seem very left-leaning. It's great. So yeah, support your local Onion. I mean, it's, it is beyond parody, right? Of course, we could say that about the entirety of the police force, but you want to talk about, like, First Amendment fucking rights? I would love to see the conservatives cover this. Of course they won't, because the guy was making fun of a police station. But, this shit's important. So, and it's in my state too. So if I'm under the impression that I can't even go on a fucking Facebook page and make fun of my goddamn local police station, I'm going to be pretty pissed about that, And I think you guys should be too, because making fun of police is very fun. It's very fun. It's a nice American pastime that we can enjoy together with perhaps your non-chud family and friends, right? Making fun of police is my favorite pastime. It's great. It's great. But yeah, if you are watching this on YouTube, first of all, thank you so much for watching. Second of all, make fun of your local police station sometime. It's fun. Give it a shot. If you have not tried that yet, listen, I've noticed that I get a whole lot of chuds in my comments section, right? If you're like a Steven Crowder, Jordan Peterson, Blue Lives Matter, protect the thin blue line, all that, just try it, man. Just like call your local police officer a hog, dangle a donut in front of his face, see what happens, Don't actually do that. You will get fucking shot. But, safely make fun of them from a distance, right? Don't do anything that will endanger your lives. Do not poke the glass, but enjoy making fun of them where and when you can. I like telling the cops to fuck off. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, cops are triggered snowflakes. And if you live in the state of Ohio, by the way, I just recently learned they cannot do, by court of law, anything to you if you raise a middle finger to them. I'm just saying. They can't. They can get you for some other bullshit, so be careful, but, They cannot get you for raising a middle finger. That is protected free speech. Anyway, thanks again for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, come check out the Twitch chat right here. Look at these guys. Look at these funny little gay guys right here. You can be with these little gay guys. That's pretty cool, right? Come join us in the Twitch chat. There's a link at the end of the video. You can come and follow me. We're almost at 1,000 followers, so be one of them. Be one of them when we get there. I'll try to put together a special stream for us when we hit 1,000. Also, make sure you hit like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the bell if you want to see me, if you want to be notified whenever I upload. And leave a comment below. My question for you is, what's your favorite police joke? What's your favorite police joke? Tell me your favorite police joke in the comments. Yeah? All right. Jims, it's okay. Look, the video hasn't ended yet. You're right there. You're right there. See? You can be just like Jims in the chat here on a video. That's pretty fucking sick. Right? He's moving up now because he's still chatting. Right? All right. Thanks again for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video.